Scientists of Reddit, what is a frightening science fact that most people are unaware of? Story 1. Flea treatments and ecosystems. If a dog swims in a lake after receiving a spot-on flea treatment, it can drastically harm the local invertebrate population. For example, a large dog swimming in the equivalent of 8 Olympic-sized swimming pools of water can release enough neurotoxin to kill 50% of the lake's invertebrates within 48 hours. While some awareness exists, the issue is not being addressed with the urgency it deserves. Story 2. Alzheimer's disease. The scientific consensus on Alzheimer's disease and other neurodegenerative disorders is alarming. These diseases begin decades before any noticeable symptoms appear. By the time obvious signs are evident, it's often too late. Significant brain damage has already occurred. For instance, if someone is diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 65, the disease likely started in their early 40s. During this period, mild symptoms went unnoticed as the brain struggled to compensate. When the diagnosis is finally made, the brain is already severely compromised and recovery is impossible. Story 3. The Great Attractor. In space, there's a gravitational anomaly known as the Great Attractor, which is drawing everything within the Virgo and Hydra Centaurus superclusters towards it. Located 150 to 250 million light-years from the Milky Way, it also pulls our galaxy. The mystery lies in the fact that this anomaly is positioned within the same plane as our galaxy, making it extremely difficult to observe. We have very little concrete information about what it is. While it may not affect us directly, it's a fascinating cosmic mystery that sparks curiosity and wonder. Story 4. Declining nutritional value of food. Our food is becoming less nutritious. Plants absorb CO2 and convert it into carbohydrates through photosynthesis. The increase in atmospheric CO2 levels has led to plants producing more carbohydrates, such as sugars and structural carbs like cellulose. However, the mineral, micronutrient, and protein content of these plants has not increased. As a result, plants today contain more carbohydrates than those from 100 years ago. This change may contribute to the obesity epidemic, as more total calories are needed to meet nutrient requirements. Story 5. Helium depletion. Helium is more than just a gas for party balloons and amusing voices. It's crucial for various high-tech applications, including MRI machines. Helium is light enough that Earth's gravity can't retain it, and we're depleting our reserves. While we're not facing an immediate crisis, our current frivolous use of helium is unsustainable. Eventually, the lack of helium could lead to the failure of many critical technologies. Story 6. 3 terrifying science facts. Rabies. Once symptoms appear, rabies is nearly 100% fatal. The only treatments are the rabies vaccine and immunoglobulin therapy, both of which must be administered before symptoms start. Gamma ray bursts, GRBs. GRBs are rare, powerful emissions from rapidly spinning supernovae and hypernovae. If a GRB were to hit Earth directly from a suitably close distance, which is still incredibly far, it would annihilate all life. The side facing the burst would be destroyed instantly, while the trailing side would soon become uninhabitable. There is nothing we can do to prevent this. Runaway global warming. There are vast stores of greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide and methane, trapped in various places. The conditions required to keep these gases trapped are fragile. Even if humanity stopped all greenhouse gas emissions immediately and dedicated all resources to carbon sequestration, it might already be too late to stop runaway global warming. Story 7. Metastable universe. The universe might be metastable, meaning that at any moment, a sphere of influence could spread and rewrite the laws of physics and chemistry within it. This could happen without warning and anywhere, even within an atom that is part of you. Your dog, carpet, or even the atmosphere could become a sphere of influence. There is no way to stop or predict this event. Story 8. The Tsar Bomba. The original nuclear bombs that devastated cities during World War II are considered tiny compared to today's standards. The most powerful nuclear bomb ever created, the Tsar Bomba, had an explosive yield 3,000 times greater than the original atomic bombs. Its power was over 10 times the combined power of all munitions used in World War II, including bullets, grenades, artillery shells, bombs, and the 2 nuclear bombs. The Tsar Bomba was detonated 4 kilometers above the ground over the remote Snai Island, yet it still obliterated towns within hundreds of kilometers and broke windows as far away as Copenhagen, Denmark. The shockwave from the blast circled the globe 9 times. The plane that dropped the bomb had a 50/50th chance of survival, and the bomb was originally designed to be twice as powerful. The question remains, why do we need such destructive weapons? It seems like a dangerous display of power with no real endgame, reminiscent of high school bully behavior on a global scale. Story 9. Soil degradation and food security. As a soil science researcher, I can tell you that we are degrading, polluting, and losing our topsoil at an alarming rate. If this continues, we may not be able to produce enough food to feed everyone within 50 to 60 years. Climate change will only exacerbate this issue. U.S. government crop insurance programs and incentives currently reinforce harmful agricultural practices and discourage regenerative ones. Changing these policies is difficult due to lobbying from major agribusiness companies profiting from short-sighted practices. Our food supply is also threatened by overdependence on aquifer water, which is being depleted and polluted faster than it can be replenished. Overdrawing aquifers causes land subsidence, leading to costly infrastructure damage. The public is largely unaware of this impending crisis, which is the result of multiple converging factors. Story 10. Cancer complexity. As a cancer geneticist, I've learned that most cancer cases we sequence offer more information about prognosis, how long a person has to live, than treatment options. The common call to cure cancer oversimplifies the reality that cancer is not a single disease, but a complex array of conditions, each requiring unique research and treatment approaches. I trained at one of the world's largest cancer hospitals, where the goal is to make cancer a chronic, manageable condition rather than eliminating it entirely. Despite our passion and dedication, research is often hindered by limited funding and systemic challenges. It's both fulfilling and frustrating work in an imperfect system. Story 11. Fetal alcohol syndrome in the UK. In the UK, around 17.7% of people have fetal alcohol syndrome, FAS, a condition that causes developmental disabilities. This high prevalence is partly due to a significant number of British mothers drinking during pregnancy before the late 90s. Since the publication of research highlighting the effects of FAS, the prevalence rate has been declining. Nonetheless, it's alarming to see the extensive impact FAS has had on society. Story 12. Botox and botulinum toxin. Botox is made from botulinum toxin, produced by the bacterium Clostridium botulinum, one of the most lethal substances known. This neurotoxin blocks nerve signals to muscles, preventing them from contracting and thus paralyzing them, which helps reduce the appearance of wrinkles and fine lines. Despite its dangerous nature, Botox is considered extremely safe when administered in small, targeted doses by a licensed professional. It's a prime example of humans harnessing something incredibly dangerous for cosmetic purposes, effectively saying, "Take that, nature." Story 13. Prions. Prions are misfolded proteins that trigger a cascade of further protein misfolding, leading to amyloid plaque buildup and severe neurodegeneration. This condition is invariably fatal within 2 years, with no known cure. The mechanisms behind prion diseases remain largely mysterious, and the misfolded protein structures are not fully understood. Prion diseases can theoretically occur in anyone at any time, and symptoms appear only when the disease is far advanced, leaving patients with, at best, 18 months to live, the last 6 of which are particularly agonizing. Story 14. Lead plumbing in the Netherlands. If you live in the Netherlands and your house is over 100 years old with unrenovated plumbing, there's a significant risk of lead poisoning. Water treatment companies struggle to identify and address all instances of lead piping due to incomplete building plans that often lack plumbing schematics. It's essential to check your pipes for lead, as it can cause serious harm, especially to children. Story 15. Wet bulb events. Humans rely on evaporating sweat to stay cool, but when humidity is too high, even relatively low heat can be fatal. A combination of 95 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 degrees Celsius, and 100% relative humidity can kill even healthy individuals. This is called a wet bulb event. By 2050, scientists predict multiple wet bulb events in the North China Plain, home to approximately 400 million people. This scenario is particularly frightening because humans don't have humidity detectors and may not realize the danger until it's too late, although extreme heat would likely be a warning sign. Story 16: Space Dead Ends. There are destinations in space where the universe's expansion between you and them is so great that even traveling at light speed would not allow you to reach them. Worse, you can't turn back after a certain point, as your starting point is receding faster than you can travel. This scenario would trap you in the endless void between two unreachable destinations forever, with no hope of rescue. While this might not scare everyone, the idea of being eternally trapped in space is certainly unsettling. Story 17: Scurvy. While scurvy is widely known, the reasons for its severity are often overlooked. Scar tissue in the body requires continuous maintenance, which relies on vitamin C. Without sufficient vitamin C, the body starts reabsorbing scar tissue, reopening old wounds, including surgical incisions. Although it takes only a small amount of vitamin C to prevent scurvy, and it's readily available in many foods, the potential for the body to essentially fall apart without it is a sobering thought. Story 18: Antibiotic Resistance. The misuse and overuse of antibiotics have led to the emergence of antibiotic-resistant bacteria. Infections that were once easily treatable are now becoming deadly due to our current antibiotics' ineffectiveness. Research is ongoing to find alternative treatments, but in the meantime, it's crucial to complete prescribed antibiotic courses and dispose of unused antibiotics properly by returning them to pharmacies. Misuse and overprescription of antibiotics in some countries exacerbate this global health threat. Story 19: The Booty's Void. Opposite the Great Attractor is the Booty's Void, sometimes called the Great Void, a vast spherical region of space with very few galaxies. Located about 700 million light-years from Earth near the constellation Bootes, this supervoid measures 250 million light-years in diameter. Despite its immense size, initial observations found only 8 galaxies, and further study revealed a total of 60. To put this in perspective, it's like finding only 60 objects across a region larger than the continental United States. If the Milky Way were at the center of this void, we wouldn't have known about other galaxies until the 1960s. The Bootes void should contain about 10,000 galaxies, but it doesn't, leading to theories about its formation. One theory suggests that smaller voids merged like soap bubbles, while another, more unsettling theory posits that an advanced civilization might have created the void by enveloping stars and galaxies in Dyson spheres, leaving a spherical emptiness. This theory raises the eerie possibility of a civilization far more advanced than our own, shaping the universe in ways we can't fully comprehend. Story 20: The Cosmic Horizon. The concept of the cosmic horizon refers to the accelerating expansion of the universe, creating a boundary beyond which we can never see or communicate. As this horizon closes in, it will eventually make it impossible to share information or travel beyond it. While this event is far in the future, the idea of an event horizon, like that of a black hole, enveloping our universe is unsettling. Story 21: The Realities of CPR. CPR, as taught in first aid classes, has a much lower success rate than commonly believed. While the average person might think CPR has a 75% or greater success rate, it is actually barely 10%. The time from collapse to the administration of a shock via an AED is critical, with survival chances dropping 10% per minute. Rescue breaths, if not done carefully, can cause gastric distension, leading to vomiting. Additionally, effective CPR often sounds and feels like breaking ribs, though it is typically cartilage and other bits shifting. Despite this, performing CPR correctly is crucial, as broken ribs are a small price to pay for saving a life. Story 22: Coronal Mass Ejections, CMEs. A coronal mass ejection, CME, is a solar event that occurs frequently on a cosmic timescale, every few decades to centuries. CMEs are massive bursts of radiation that can fully envelop the Earth, acting like a non-stop EMP barrage. The last major CME hit Earth when we only had telegraph lines, which spontaneously caught fire. In today's world, with everything dependent on electricity, a similar event would be catastrophic. We might have a few days' warning, but the aftermath would be like a literal apocalypse. Planes would go down, vehicles wouldn't start, fires would cause untold billions in damage, and essential machines would be fried. Some things might be spared if stored in deep, concrete-roofed garages, but our infrastructure would be crippled for years, plunging us into a mini dark age as we struggled to rebuild.